homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today we're harvesting cucumber seeds. Well, it's August the 3rd and it's time to harvest cucumber seeds. Now I've let some hills go to seed, let them grow great old big cucumbers, and I'll show them to you as I pick them. But I'm going to pick them in the way that the cucumber harvester that I made last year, my method I came up with last year for harvesting these without bending over. Now, it's easy to say that this is an easy process, but it's not necessarily easy. But I'd like to tell you that we don't have any weeds here at College Hill Farm. But that might not be true. Okay, I try and show you everything, warts and all, how we are, how things are. But let's go ahead and get some of these cucumbers, and then we'll go over to the water and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, I've got a 5-gallon bucket of great old big cucumbers, almost as big as watermelons. But that's 4 vines that I let go. Well, it's really it's 4 hills, which there's 2 vines to a hill. So I try and pick my seed when I get it from 2 or 3 or 4 different vines. Now these are straight 8s. What you're looking for. See how white that is? Out here in the sunlight might be a little easier than when we go back in the shade to get these ready. That's a super white looking cucumber. Those seeds are ripe. Now some that are starting to rot, the seeds may be too far along, okay? But now, rotting's a natural process, so the ones that have rotted out here in the field, you can about be assured there'll be volunteers. I've got volunteers in the other garden from last year, but I don't want to pick those because of diseases, because that's where I planted cucumbers last year. So I'm picking these because there hasn't been cucumbers planted in this spot in at least 3 years, and I think 5. I don't think I've ever planted them here at this homestead. So let's go back up to the shop and I'll show you what I need to do. But before I do that, I'd like to show you what else is going on, and let's have a look. Now here are the cucumber vines that I just harvested off of. There are no little cucumbers on them, because when you let your cucumbers go to seed, okay, they stop putting on. Once one goes to seed, those cucumbers vines are done. See here, the great big ones? Okay, this was 5 hills up and down through here. But now, if you'll look, what do you see in there? You see cucumber blooms. These will have little cucumbers on them in no time. Might even be some already. These were planted, a little over a month ago. And see, there's a little cucumber. Okay, that'll be eating size in a couple of days. Now, these will put out for quite a while. I'll keep them picked, and these will put out almost to frost. So it's August, so I'll get August and September out of these. By then, they'll be spent. Plenty of weeds have grown up, but pretty much the garden is, we're in harvest mode and not really worried about weed mode. Now I do come back and cut the weeds around these cucumbers that I want to keep putting out. I need to come back, take the hoe and shave those weeds off the top of them so that they get some sunlight. But other than that, we're pretty much in harvest mode. Not going to be a lot of weeding. I came and chopped some weeds down around our mortgage lifters though, so that I could be certain to get seed from those. Okay, let's go up to the water source. Okay, always remember, when you're doing anything on your garden, you don't have to do everything out in the sun. You know, you can do some things, but the shade is a wonderful place to work on stuff that you're wanting to work on. So I didn't take it in the house. It's nice and cool this morning. It feels like fall out here. I think it was like 58 degrees this morning. My kind of weather, fat man weather. But what I'm going to do, I've got 2 buckets. This one's for my scraps. This one's for my seeds. And of course I've got my great old big cucumbers. Now you want to select cucumbers that are good and white. This one's got a little bit of green on it, but that's just fine. There's only just a tinge of green left. This one is not totally soft, but it gives a little. When you mash it, that's what you're looking for. You want them to just give a little. If they're still real hard, the seeds probably aren't good and ripe. So now, it's a real complicated process. I'm going to take my pocket knife, cut those ends off so you can see the seeds there. Okay, then I'll cut this in half. And then cut that half into quarters. And then you can just run those seeds right off. You'll get some pulp, but the seeds will come right out and right into your bucket. Now, what am I going to do with all these seeds? Well, the truth is, I have enough seeds to do me for probably 4 or 5 years. But my plan is, so many people have asked me about seeds. Now, this is a straight 8 cucumber. It's an heirloom variety, or in other words, it's an open pollinated variety. Rather so than heirloom, probably. I save my own seeds from them, and I have for years and years and years and years. But what I intend to do is I'm going to start selling the seeds that I save here on College Hill Farm and replant every year, and doing it in an eBay store. And I'm going to do it over the winter. I won't do it over the summer. I'm just going to do it over the winter. So if you want to garden along with us, growing the same varieties, you can get the seeds for that. Now, I've got some heirloom varieties that have been in my family for 100 years or more. So those varieties, you can't get them nowhere else. So let's go ahead with this. See, as it when you get it like that, they just fall off. Now me, generally, how many do I save a year? Well, I save some every year, but I save 1 or 2 cucumbers worth. Okay, just for me. This year, I'm going to save enough for a bunch of folks. Now, will that be worth my time? I don't know. I'm not doing it for time. I'm a retired physics professor, for those of you that are new to the channel. I'm a retired physics professor. My wife is a retired ICU RN. We homestead 9 acres here in central Kentucky. We grow most of our own food. I'm working on getting more animals, but the pandemic's kind of got us slowed down. But I try and let you see us trying to establish a modern homestead. Now, I'm 57, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I have multiple sclerosis, so things are a little tough for me sometimes. But I'm not going to let the blankety blank win. So we started on this homestead journey in 2014. We bought a 112-year-old farmhouse. Well, it's 112-year-old now. We bought a 112-year-old farmhouse, and the very first thing we had to do was renovate it. And the only person that's worked on this farmhouse but us is the air conditioning technician, the heating and air technician that came and installed the heat pump, which the heat pump was dead. It had a heat pump in it already, but it was dead. He came and installed a new heat pump. And then I'm a little not so sure on my feet anymore, and I needed to have some places in the roof around the chimneys were leaking. So I hired some guys to come and fix around the chimneys. So the house was in bad shape. It hadn't been lived in 6 or 7 years. But it looks like a different place now. One of these days I'll show you some of the different rooms and things, but I'm not done with it. I told Crystal when we came here that it would be done in 6 months. We'd do it in 6 months. There ain't been nothing easy on this whole farmhouse. We had to redo the entire electrical because it was still the 1930s knob and tube. So we had to redo the entire electrical before we could move on with anything else. So that's where we started. We resurfaced every wall. Somebody had ripped all the crown moldings out of this old house, and we restored all the crown moldings. I've got the sides all painted. I still have to paint the eaves. I sanded the entire floor in the place and refinished all the floors. We're building a bathroom, a downstairs bathroom, or what used to be a back porch. We've renovated that and making a downstairs bathroom out of it. We're still in the process of that. And you'll see in a previous video where we had to make siding because you can't buy nothing that matches this old house. So I'm going to go ahead and get these in the bucket, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. Okay, here's the seeds. Of course, there's a 5-gallon bucket worth of scraps. I'm getting ready to take that up to the compost pile so the bees will leave me alone. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill that with water. Come on. And what that does is it will wash off all of that seed sprout inhibitor. And it'll also allow any cucumber pulp to float to the top, and I'll be able to skim it off. Makes life a lot simpler. I like to get it down in there and agitate it pretty good too. The foam is caused by that sprout inhibitor. Okay, now let that sit for a while. Alright, I've let these cucumbers sit for a little over an hour. And what you'll notice is there's some scum on top and there's some cucumber seeds floating on top. All of that stuff on top is not viable. So I'm just going to scoop them up and get them out of there so that I don't have to worry about those. Those seeds wouldn't sprout anyway. Alright, there's a few left. Won't be enough to worry about in the final product. Scoop them one more time. That's got most of the old pulp and stuff out of there. Okay, now we want to take this over to the water and start straining it. Now, to get this strained, I'm going to use an old pot that we've got. I'll be using paper plates too. I've got 3 paper plates. But we'll set this pot here, and it'll just let the water overflow and give that somewhere to stabilize. Now I'll just pour the contents of this bucket right into that strainer. And take my time. Now all of those, let them get strained out. All of those seeds will be viable. But now you'll notice that there's still a lot of liquid-like stuff there. Well, we need to get rid of that. That's the sprout inhibitor. It's still on some of these, so we want to make that go away. And the way I do that is just with water. I just take and wash these in good old-fashioned water. And I do it until the strainer will drain free. See, there's still quite a bit of stuff in there, so I got to keep going. Alright. For the most part, most of the sprout inhibitor is gone. See, they don't hardly stick to my fingers now. They stick a little bit. Probably give it a little bit more, and then... Okay. Now, what I do, once I do that, take about a third of them and put them on a paper plate. There's one paper plate. Two paper plates. And a third paper plate. Now I'm going to take this plate's worth by itself . Give it a rinse. Better. Now just spread that out over the paper plate. There's some water there. I'll pour off a little. There's still a little sprout inhibitor on there, but for the most part, it's gone. Okay. Then take another paper plate. Do the same thing. Okay, now, once you've got them like this, there's still some sprout inhibitor on here. But, for the most part, it's gone. It's going to dry. So you spread these out as evenly as you can. Two. and 3. Now, what am I going to do with these? I'm going to put them on top of my refrigerator in the house. If I left them out here, the squirrels would get them. So, I don't want to share with the squirrels. Okay, that's how you save cucumber seeds. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. If you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing and out of this heat.